Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. In today's dars of the traditions of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, once again Imam Sahib wishes to present some traditions of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yesterday it was mentioned that what the fundamentals of Islam are. So what are those basic obligations that Islam expects of us? And another aspect of this is going to be presented today in this tradition, which is taken from Bukhari. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Kabairu Ishraku Billahi wa Hukukul Walidaini wa Qatlun Nafsi wal Yaminul Ghamusu. This Imam Sahib is saying is a tradition taken from Bukhari and the book of traditions, and in this the Holy Prophet ﷺ has mentioned 4 such matters which are regarded as horrific mistakes and major sins, and these are major sins that one can commit. And the reason for this declaration is that every Muslim should try to keep away from these. So by regarding them as major sins, one is reminded that this is a major rejection and denial of the teachings of Islam. And what are these major sins? In a few words, Holy Prophet ﷺ has mentioned these. He says, Al-Kabairu is Al-Ishraku Billah. The first of these major sins is to associate any partner with Allah. Every believer knows that Allah is one and He has no partner, and there is none like Him. There is no associate with Him, and this belief is the first fundamental belief of all the beliefs of Islam. So if someone forgets this or does not fulfill its obligations, and God forbid he starts to walk on the path of idolatry, then he becomes someone who rejects this first prerequisite of Islam. So this is one of the biggest sins, to regard someone or something as a partner with God in regards to His being, His attributes and His qualities, which are explained in the Holy Quran and in the tradition. To deny them and to regard someone else as a partner with Allah in these matters, then this is Ishraku Billah, that is associating partners with Allah, and it's one of the biggest sins. And then after that, the Holy Prophet ﷺ continues to speak about the next big sin, the next major sin, and this is with regards to our relationships with our kith and kin. So in this regard, the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that the second major sin is to disobey parents. When a man is born, he goes through a situation where he's looked after by his parents, and then he grows up and has his own children, etc. So to disobey parents is a huge sin, and this has been denied very vehemently in the teachings of Islam. So this has been regarded as number 2 after idolatry. Parents are sympathetic and well-wishers of their children, and they always try to perform their obligations. Imam Sahib is saying that there might be some parents who do not fulfill these rights, but in the Jamaat we see that most parents are from their heart, they are sympathetic to their children, and they are their well-wishers, and they try to look after them, and they try to provide them with all the conveniences that are possible. And the true parents, Imam Sahib is saying, in my opinion, are those who pray for their children day and night. And if a son disobeys or a daughter disobeys such parents, then this is a huge sin. So this also indicates towards the fulfillment responsibilities of a parent, that one should be such a good child. And then if the children are such who deny this, and then and not listen to their parents, and this is regarded as a major sin. Some people regard this as a minor matter, and they think that so what if parents have told us something, but this is completely wrong. And if a parent is telling someone, their child, something which is correct according to belief, their faith and experience, then one must obey them, of course, unless they tell a child to disobey Allah and His Prophet, then that, of course, that comes first. But in other matters, one is bound by the guidance given by one's parents, and most of all, one should pray for one's children, and this prayer should be while the children are alive, and also when they pass away. Even then, the Holy Quran says that you should pray in the following words: "Rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira." So this prayer should be something that every believer should perform. So it cannot be imagined that the parents, with truth and with sincerity, they advise their child, and the child disobeys them, and then this disobedience is among the major sins according to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And the next major sin that is mentioned is to kill an innocent person. And Islam has not permitted someone to take away the life of another person, but if he does so, and he does it without any reason, if that person is completely innocent and has not done anything wrong, then if a person kills him and murders him, then this is also among the major sins which incur a huge punishment. And the fourth matter is to give a false oath, to violate an oath which one makes. First of all, one should not swear oaths habitually. One should be truthful and one should say straightforward things, but there are some people who have a habit of making oaths, but if you make a promise and you fulfill it, then that will be regarded as a good deed. But if somebody makes a promise and then he does not perform it, does not fulfill it, then this is regarded as a major sin. So these are the four matters which every believer must always remember. The next tradition is again taken from Bukhari, but it's also found in the book of traditions called Muslim, in which the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that it's a very beautiful tradition in which one is reminded, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that a believer must love me, that is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, his heart should be brimming with the love of Allah, with the love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, of course of Allah. And a person who does not do so, then the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that la yuminu ahadukum, that none of you can be a believer, can be a true believer, until he hatta kuna ahabba ilayya min walidihi wa waladihi wa min an-nasi ajma'in, until such time that I, that is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, indicates towards himself that until a person's heart is not filled with the love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ to such an extent that he regards the Holy Prophet ﷺ more beloved than his parents, his children, and his other relatives, And until such time, the believer's faith is not complete. So Imam Sahib is saying that this is an amazing aspect of faith that is brought before us, and it is a lesson for us all that we should remember the favors of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and we should love him in such a way that it should be embedded in our hearts. It should fill our hearts and our hearts and our mind, and all our thoughts should be colored in the color of the Holy Prophet ﷺ's love. And this is the true love that we should all be endowed with. And then in this regard, we are also enabled to become lost in the emotion in a love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and as a result we send peace and blessings on him. To send peace and blessings on the Holy Prophet ﷺ is something which is the identifying mark of a believer. This is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that La yu'minu, that a person cannot be a believer, cannot fulfill the requirements of faith unless the love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ supersedes everything in his heart. And this is what we mention in our bayat as well, that we promise to love the Holy Prophet ﷺ more than anyone else in the world. So if we think about this tradition again, it becomes clear that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said in these words that, "O believers, remember I giving you this advice that none of you can become a believer." So you can claim to be a believer, but the claim will not be true, and no believer cannot actually be a real believer unless I, that is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, is according to him, I am more beloved to him than his parents, his children, and all other people. And so such a person will not be worthy of being called a true believer. So in the world, people love their parents, and parents love children, and then people have relationships for love among friends, etc. But the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that if my love is not does not take precedence over all other loves and is not more deep than all other loves, then that person is not worthy of being called a true Muslim. To be a believer, to be a true believer, it is essential for someone to have the love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ foremost, supreme among all of the other loves that one feels in one's heart. May Allah enable us to attain this honor and this status. Ameen summa ameen. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.